global mourning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
You have done your work, you have put us to the wall. We are not your slaves.
I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.
I just quickly take a look at highlight of events for you for 2023, how these events also impacted and shapes national life in the year under review. Of course, they are numerous. We're just going to take time to look at some of them today, and we'll do all of that again in the days ahead until the very last day of the year. I'm joined by Haruna Brimo, he's a public affairs commentator, and he's here to help us find context and beat some perspectives into the conversation this morning. Thank you, Brimo, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Compliment on the season.
I wish you the same. And you and I, we've spent some time this year, maybe over half a dozen times, talking about topical issues, whether they are within the APC or issues generally that affect Nigeria and Nigerians. But I want us to look at some of these big issues. I'm not going to bore you with election and all of the issues around election, but let's talk about issues that are basically centered around the economy. Especially now that we find that Nigerians are dealing with so much of hardship. Of course, you and I know that the government recently, by way of providing palliatives, announced a rebate of 50% on transportation, whether it's by road or by air.
Or
in
by
fact,
train,
even by train was free. Exactly, by train was free. All right, we've seen all of that happen. Let's do an assessment of these efforts.
It's not yet Uhuru. It's not yet time for us to celebrate.
Okay.
We are still in the process of efforts. There has been many palliatives programs and policies that have been created or be created by the present administration, all jet towards uplifting the economic standard of Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as citizens. So the last effort at cushioning the impact of prices was basically for this period of Yuletide between Christmas and New Year, because whether the economy was good or bad, we have this accepted norm in Nigeria where prices of transports skyrocket during the Yuletide, during the last part of the year where everybody wants to travel and come back. We remember in 2012, December, many persons traveled and they couldn't come back. They were stranded because that was when on the 1st of January, subsidy was removed by the then president, and we saw the hardship. But here we are now. We are no longer dealing with the subsidy as per se, we are dealing with its impacts. And one of the biggest impacts is influencing the transportation cost across board, even in agricultural produce and all that. So the government, the federal government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has deemed it fit, or now deemed it fit, to create a palliative measure, had an arrangement with some selected big national transporter, interstate in particular, for those that are traveling, to create a 50% rebate for them to benefit, and that will go a long way. Imagine you traveling to Edo from Abuja, for example, on God is Good motor. You hit out to pay almost 20-something thousand naira. Yeah, right now. And somebody comes up to tell you is chalking out 50% of such transport from you, and it's saving you extra money to meet up some family or domestic needs for the Yuletide, for your children. And the beauty of it is to and from. You enjoy it going, you enjoy it coming. At least it's expected that majority of Nigerians should be back to their base on the 4th of January to start a new year, start working and all that. So it's a two-way thing. You benefit. It's a good one. It's going to create enough money, creating another leverage for consumers, and Nigeria will have enough money in the pocket to spend this season.
Just yesterday.
I'm sorry, again, it was, why this one is so unique, unlike a situation whereby you increase worker salary, you increase this is for everybody.
Right.
Both formal
it's not limited to workers.
As far as you are traveling. It's not
and you are in Nigeria.
And you are in Nigeria. And for those that are using the train stations, they are even having it free.
I want to just, now that we're talking basic economics, we've seen Lagos State Governor do some 35,000 naira sort of bonus for workers. Just yesterday, news came through that Rivers State Governor announced exactly 100,000 naira bonus for Christmas for workers. We may say those are palliatives, but are they far-reaching enough? How much of difference?
No, not necessarily. They are all part of it's part of motivation of the workforce. This, give credit to whom it's due. I can say that in Nigeria, it started from Governor Obaseki, the governor of Edo State. He started the Christmas bonus, and it goes further to, he owns his full month, 13th month, he pays 13 months salary to public workers in Edo State, and they've been enjoying that for some years now. So some states are just trying to, they are keying in now. It's just to, it's a season of love, and considering the economic hardship that is even global. So everybody is looking for avenues, looking for ways to put smiles in the faces of people that works around them. Even those of us in the private sector, we create bonuses for our workers and staff. So, and if the government, state governors have started this now, and maybe if other state governors enters into it or key into it, it's going to be a good one, and it promotes efficiency. The person is resuming a refresh, resuming with joy and happiness, that is having a 13th month salary in Edo State. He knows that 13th month will be able to take care of January, that is almost 100 days.
Interesting. Yesterday, Bishop of Catholic Archdiocese of Sokoto, Bishop Matthew Kukah, as he always does with presidents in this country, also told President I should say President Bola Tinubu, that look, you have an opportunity to change Nigeria for the better, all right? And if you fail, Nigerians will not forgive you, because you've got that, if you like, that's a chance to turn the tide around. Help us create a context, because we understand that the president inherited a bad economy.
Let me explain something to you and to Nigerians. Every president that has come has had a chance to change Nigeria.
So what has been the problem?
To make an impact. The problem has been Nigerians. You cannot change who is not ready to be changed. Change begins with everybody, including Matthew Kukah. He's been around the government corridors for years. He's been assessing and critiquing presidents upon presidents. And directly or indirectly, he have access to these people. He's been delivering lectures across the strata forums for governments, even some agencies in presidencies, which I know of. We've met in different forums too. We have also jointly been on some tables delivery, talking about the unity of Nigeria, religious tolerance and all that. It's about us. Nobody will expect a lot from President Tinubu, the same way we expected from President Muhammadu Buhari, the same way we expected from fresh air. We expected fresh air from Goodluck Jonathan. You understand? The president, we pray, we have a president that has what it takes to create and formulate some sound policy direction for the federal government and for the nation at large, because they deal on macroeconomics, which is the aggregate demand and supply of the entire country. At the same time, we now begin to say whose responsibility it is, or is it, to make those frameworks implementation process be efficient, effective, and proficient in a result. It's me and you. If the government formulates a policy of tax to raise revenue to meet up their expenditures, and we that are expected to pay the tax, we become tax defaulters, they need to also go again, turn around to create rebate for us, to create palliative for us to be able to pay, to give us waivers. They are even begging us to pay. Citizenry that does not pay tax. The citizenry here is both corporate and human citizenry. In the corporate sector, if they investigate it now, you see a lot going on there.
With regards to tax? Of
course, in regard to tax, the corporate taxes, company income tax, withholding tax, company withholding tax, and other relevant ad valorem tax, sales tax, VAT, remittances issues. But we all turn around. How do you turn around? You have the opportunity to build, to strengthen the institution. The institutions are there. Look at NAFDAC and NDLA. Look at the revelations, what they are bringing, what we are seeing. That people are cooking coke, manufacturing Fantas, bottled water, all sorts of drugs. Fellow citizens abusing the whole process. It's more of work than it's an opportunity to turn Nigeria around. Yes, every president has always been ready. Every president coming to Aso Rock is to turn Nigeria around. Just as every governor, I expect Matthew Kuka to also be critiquing the 36 state governors. The Nigerian Governors Forum is there.
Which has also been immersed in corruption allegations now.
Absolutely. We have ALGO, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, where you have all the 704 local government chairmen. All these tiers of government need to be carried along for the Nigeria state to work. President Tinubu only accounts for 47 to 53% of the revenue of Nigeria. That is what goes to him. That is what he's going to work with. So you don't give somebody 50% or 47% of money. You said they should go to market and buy you 100% or incur 100% expenditures. It's not possible. That is why it is shared across the strata. So let us all check the way we critique this. We do our part. It's our responsibility. We have our civic responsibility to this government. We expect the government to do their own. They have their own government objective, state objective, what they are there to do for us. So how can the citizen how can citizen that does not do their responsibility expecting their right to be upheld? For example, they say tax is a compulsory levy. It's not negotiable. It's a patriotic expectation. Remember, patriotism does not have any base for it to happen. You just have to be patriotic. Except you have another country of allegiance. It's your unallowed allegiance to your state. So when you fail to pay your tax, you have practically broken that. And it is the same tax the government will use to provide what you need. So if the government, you are not accusing the government of not doing enough with what they have, then you ask yourself the question, are you giving enough also to the government? Come on, obeying traffic, you are not obeying. You think it's President Buhari, Tinubu, that is coming to make you obey. We also have agencies that threaten the obeying of traffic. Yeah, we give them work every day. We see it every day.
But how do also, you have
talked collective responsibility.
Of course, you have talked about institutions just a while ago, but then you're wondering, the practice and the culture we have here is such that virtually every chairman, every DG, every ED, every ES, all right, owes allegiance, at least so they think, to the president, not to the constitution, not to the country. For example, we've seen in this country, right from 2004 till now, when the EFCC came on stream, of how that you hear of body language. An EFCC chairman needs to confer with the president before he decides whether or not he wants to arrest the president, a certain individual.
No.
How do we still talk about institutions
body language is clear in distinction with the institutional framework that the head of an agency need to strengthen. The agency was created from an act.
Right.
And there are rules, there are functionalities and rules from
their mandates are clear.
Of course. There is the office you need to report to if there is need. For example, the EFCC is not able to presidency. It's under the Office of Attorney General of the Federation.
That is in principle.
Not necessarily.
In an ideal situation.
No. In realism, you make your ID, you bring idealism to realism. You make it work.
But have we done that? Have we made it work?
Have you have any DG or have any head of an agency that have willingly resigned that, it is because of the body language of my employer that is preventing me from working?
Because like we said a while ago, the allegiance is more to the...
Because we have entrenched a norm that is not working, but satisfying our selfish interest. Is it a crime? In other saner society, people throw in the towel. They resign.
So why is it different here?
That's what I'm saying.
Because he will pay the piper, right?
If you dictate the tune for me, I don't want to you play the piper and you want to dictate the tune for me. And if the tune is in contravention with what the law says, what do you expect me to do? What am I supposed to do?
So in this case, we'll blame it on the head of that institution as against the president, for
Politics
example.
is politics worldwide. There has been circumstances in the UK where the prime minister have to resign. There are the circumstances where head of agencies have to resign because they were not flowing. You see, after the Brexit, the man that propounded or drove the Brexit idea, who now became was made the prime minister to make the Brexit issue work. And you know what Brexit led to? Till tomorrow, the British economy have not fully recovered from the Brexit catastrophe. And people were resigning under him because what he was trying to make them do were in contravention with either what they stand for or what their qualification or experience or capacity or competence tells them or professionalism. It's in contrast. But we are having the same thing happen to Emefiele now. There is a law that guarantees you, I know we are going to come to that. There's a law that guarantees you in the act that created CBN, CBN Act of 2007, that tells you this is how to give money to federal government, this is how to give money, this is... And on your own, if there was pressure, whatever body language you call it, that you were not in agreement with, that pressured you to be doling out money, why did you resign? Why did you cry out? Instead, you abuse your office, you now want to blame it on a politician. Politician will come and go, institution remain.
You know, some people, I mean, now that we've started talking about former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, maybe we'll just go the full throttle. All right, some people have said that it was a mistake that, of course, he had started serving under former President Goodluck Jonathan, and then, quote unquote, it was inherited by former President Muhammadu Buhari, who also had him in office for 8 straight years. And then his tenure spilled into the administration of our now President Bola Tinubu. Some people say it was an error that even former President Muhammadu Buhari had to leave him for that long, and it was even a more serious error that our president now, Bola Tinubu, allowed him to remain. But maybe that's not even the issue. But let's talk about how that Emefiele has become more of a phenomenon than even the CBN itself in Nigeria.
Yes, because of its nefarious function activities, because of its abuse of office, or because of what has been speculative over the years and has now been proven to be truth so far, though there's no official statement.
But Emefiele himself now says that those allegations are satanic, that those things never happened, that he never had over 500 accounts opened offshore. Did
he also tell you that he never abused and misdirected or misused the funds that he funded recklessly, that does not have any heading apart from ways and means? They just dump everything there. You debit ways and means, you credit whoever you want to credit. In the name of it's a federal government way of getting overdraft. If you know the meaning of ways and means and what the Act, the CBA Act of 20, I think Section 38, of Explainable Fund, Emefiele should be willingly go to the nearest police station to hand himself up for further trials. Or should have convict himself. But we are just waiting for the official. Let's not preempt the official, but with what is in the public domain so far from that report. Let's forget about whether you have 500 and something account or not. Let's look at the 27, because that is a debt that Nigeria, the federal government is now trying so hard to pass through the National Assembly to securitize. To now accept it as a bond at 9% interest, to be paid in the next 40 years. How old will you be in the next 40 years? Our next generation will be paying it. That is a debt that is not even included in the DMO, the national debt. Section 38 of 2007 CBN Act, Article 2, or Subsection 2 of that particular section, stated that when the federal government wants to borrow, yeah, they have right to borrow. It's the lender of the last resort to the government. But they told you the rules that they should not borrow. It's like an overdraft. You should not give overdraft to the government to fund its activities or its budget more than 5% of the revenue that the government is expecting in their budget. And before you give them the next tranche, which is once in a year, before you give them the next one, you must have recovered the first money you borrowed the federal government. Before 2015, we had 700 and something billion in ways and means account as what was borrowed from the same CBN, the same Emefiele was the CBN governor. Maybe because we had a Kojo Wela, who is very strong professionally as far as economics is concerned and finance, was able to monitor, check his activity. Immediately Buhari came in 2015. We had 730 billion then. Immediately Buhari came in 2015, and he was convinced that, okay, you say you can do this and do that. We are using ways and means to augment a whole lot of things. In the name of maybe COVID-19, the recession we found ourselves, bailing out the states. And then he hid under that. I was not dipping. Imagine the last money, 6.30 trillion we drew in December. I mean, between November and December 2022, and you debited to ways and means.
Just about 6 months before this
administration
started.
Exactly. You were just withdrawing money and debiting to federal government because they have created a window for you. So just between 2015 to date, as at December, that money was 23 trillion. Now we're talking of 27 point something trillion. We are hitting about 28, 29 trillion. And you're talking of what is the definition of Satanism?
How do we explain to people who say, look, the CBN has always been like this. It's just that Emefiele probably amplified what was already very bad. Do you take sides with that kind of thinking?
Nothing was very bad. We can say something was bad. The system has been bad. We are no doubt about that. Our economy has not rebounded since 2014. When we started having the global oil crisis that eroded our reserve and all that. But we are talking of abusing your official capacity. You are the monetary policy driver of the country. Your activities as CBN governor help the federal government to regulate its fiscal policy. The fiscal policy is the budget that they present. And some of the sources of funding, some of the items in the budget. Let me explain to you what is ways and means in totality in public finance. Ways and means is a process whereby the federal government submits its budget to the parliament on the National Assembly for approval. And now seek also the approval of the National Assembly for different ways, because in that budget, federal government will tell the National Assembly, these are the ways upon which, the ways and means upon which I'm going to be getting revenue to fund
my budget.
That is simple terms. You now get the approval. Okay, I'm adjusting taxation, corporate tax to 30G. We are doing this. Foreign grant is going to come like this. We intend borrowing from the financial, stock market. We are going to sell bonds like this. We are going to get moratorium financing from our multilateral financial institution. We're going to sell off our national assets. We are expecting crude sales from this. These are all the ways and means. That is the regular definition.
So all the money is going to one person.
Exactly. Until it came to the Nigerian contest.
And then abuse started.
The abuse started because everything that is done, that I just stated now, is excluding how Emefiele is going to be debiting money, throwing expenditure into there, withdraw the money.
That's not part of the arrangement.
The funny part is these monies are not, there's no record of how it's spent. Most of it. But because there's already an account called Ways and Means, where federal government come and say, give us overdraft. We're going to pay you back. Which the Act of Central Bank empowers. I just explained to you. He said I should give you not more than 5% of your expected revenue in a particular period of 1 year, 12 months. And before I give you again as CBN governor, you should have been able to redeem what I've given to you before. But the Emefiele has been given, give it to himself and give it to the government and even government cronies. In the name of this presidential approval, he abused the old blanket approval. Like I give you a blanket approval that you can do this, you can do that, so that we can rescue the economy from recession. You can rescue this, create a special project like the Anchor Borrower, the palm oil revamping revolutionary this thing for those states. Different programs like that. These were all lofty programs to rescue the economy. And since they were not captured in the regular budget, we have to use the ways and means with the central bank to overdraw the central bank to fund all those things, especially that when these anchor borrowers return their money and all that, we recover all that. Then Emefiele started the abuse. Or the CBN.
Under
Emefiele started the abuse. Right now, you cannot tell us what you withdrew 6.30 trillion from.
Emefiele has not been invited by this panel, I suppose, to tell his side of the story. Is that fair enough?
No, it's not. It was not by a panel investigation.
Yes.
The records are the investigate record. I'm an auditor.
So what we have so far is what the records show.
Or what is an audit evidence? The totality of fact, indication, science, and testimony.
Figures, data, everything.
Of course. Audit test has been done on the system. Everything Obaze said were based on substantial evidence available to him. So it was not a panel set up to invite Emefiele to tell his own side of the story.
But that doesn't seem fair, and I'll tell you why real quick. Today, news has come through that the Obaze panel now, I mean, he is the special investigator, has invited former Deputy Governor of the CBN, Mr. Tunde Lemo. So why is that invitation not extended to a few other
Emefiele was already facing, should he have invited Emefiele from where? Emefiele that was rescued by the federal government from running abroad. You remember how he was picked from Lagos when he was on the run? We're talking of availability.
But Benny says he was picked from a residential, I mean, from a home, not.
We all knew everything. We knew everything that went
between the home and the airport.
We knew everything, but right now there's a report before the federal government. So what the federal government cannot do is to set up a panel to review that report. Then Emefiele is available, or Emefiele will be tried in the open
on the basis
of the report where he cannot defend himself. Nobody has said the investigative report is not condemning Emefiele. Is there anywhere when there was sentence or Emefiele should be this? He only reported what he has discovered based on this investigation.
We know. I mean, Brahma, you and I, we know that the CBN doesn't work alone on many of these initiatives. I mean, you find the Minister of Finance, for example.
The deputies, at a point, the deputies, they were all withdrawing money for themselves and debiting to the Ways and Means account. It's there in that report. There are 17 points where highlighted. I'm not want to be concentrating on this issue. No, when we hear people starting money, they have foreign accounts, foreign account. That is not even the main issue. A lot of abuse of office is a crime.
Everywhere in the world.
Official misconduct. Outrightly dishing hand into the coffers of government. You are the lender, you are the bank of government, you are the Bank of Nigeria, you are the banker's bank. It's like the Potiphar's wife. You are expected of high moral standard. If not for anything. Your office is very lucrative. If not that Nigerians will always be Nigerians. It beats my professional imagination that somebody will take money and debit an account without giving a narration of what the money is for. You just debit Ways and Means with 6.something trillion. So I'm still waiting until when that part is going to explain. That 6.something trillion is my pain. That in November, December here, you can be withdrawing, you can just dish out into public fund from CBN money and debit federal government. And put it debt on Nigerians.
Under circumstances like this, who else do you think should be spoken to? I mean, besides the former CBN governor and his former deputies? Because it appears to be...
the finance minister is going to come and explain. The former finance minister.
Right.
Clemamba is going to come and explain.
He
was the minister of budget and planning. It's ministry other than the Ministry of Finance. Because the law is quite clear about the role they play as far as our budgetary allocation and fiscal designs is concerned. The debt management office, because they are now trying to securitize it now.
So it becomes Nigerians' problem.
It has to now, it's not like a debt. It now becomes a stock. We now convert it to bond.
It still doesn't change the fact that it's a problem.
If we convert it to bond, we'll now be paying like every 90 days there's an amount we have to pay.
Which is still a problem.
Of course, it's now a burden on us, on the taxpayers.
Will it be?
But these are spent 7.something trillion. Let's even minus the 700 and something billion that was secured before the Buhari
administration. Which in itself is a lot of money.
Of course. We are talking of about 20-something trillion on its own from 2015 to date. That you cannot, they should let Nigerians know these are the projects that we are undertaking. When the President Buhari administration created the Infrastructural Development Fund, we were able to tie it to the income we are expecting in dividend from LNG. Nigeria, we are not before now, Nigeria was not aware that we receive dividend. We are supposed to be receiving dividend from LNG. We thought LNG was just a private entity on its own. People were delighting themselves. Former President Obasanjo benefited from that. These are not allegations. These are what is in the. These are facts. Until the Buhari, we now say, okay, this fund is going to be tied to this. So whatever we are getting from the LNG as dividend, we use it for infrastructure development fund. And whatever we are getting from the returns from Abacha loot and any other foreign recovered loot, we tie it to specific projects that the infrastructure development fund is already doing, which is the second Niger bridge, the Lagos-Ibadan Express, and the Zuba Kaduna Kano Expressway. Those were the 3 projects. Even the Ewato Bridge from Otukpo to Akwanga and all that. These are major routes. Even some the Enugu-Port Harcourt road. That's how to tie funds to expenditures. They just opened the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway. You see it. You don't collect 6.something trillion from and debit somebody's account. Federal government is somebody here now. You just debit federal government account because you have it's a window.
You have latitude.
Exactly. You just dump you debit the amount in figures to the account and you collect the cash. And whoever he is going to be telling us which agency of government gave him the approval or benefited from that 6.something trillion. And every other one that have been debited to that account that brought that money to that raised that money to the tune of 27.something trillion.
Let's talk about real quick, Brimo, the factors that may have made it so, if you like, easy for Emefiele to have gone this far with Nigerian public funds.
You remember in this place we are talking of independence of the CBN. In one of our discussions,
right?
I told you it's not in Nigeria. You want imagine with an act, with a legal framework, with an act of parliament guiding the ways, functionality, and regulatory framework of CBN, and Emefiele still goes ahead or went ahead to commit all these abuses office. This thing did not start today. That's why I say it's not worse, but it was bad. Even the former CBN governor, from the time of between 2004 and 2007 to 2009.
We had Soludo at the point, and he was.
How do they manage? Because some of these means ways and means were also used to fund to manipulate forex.
And we didn't hear of this magnitude of abuse.
Of course. Do you know the inflationary cost of this? Now we are talking of dollar is $1,000 something. Do you know the impact? Because by the time you move this fund, maybe it came in, it's in dollar, you remove it, you convert it. That dollar, you take it to bureau the change. You go and do illegal trading. Putting pressure on the naira again. And now popping the regular money into the expenditures. Into the project you said the federal government is, this money are not budgeted for. How do you control inflation? You turn around as CBN governor and be telling us that the NPRO meeting today, the MRR, the minimum discount rate for banks is this. You are still fueling more crisis in the economy, where people can no longer have access to to get a loan. You'll be paying almost 50%, 40%, 30% from banks to finance your projects. We are suffering in all ways, but for the selfish interests of few. Not knowing that if you don't abuse your office, do the right thing in the right way, at least the inflation will go down.
Now that Tunde Lemo, I mean, one you would consider a very reputable former CBN governor, now also still a key player in the banking industry, has been invited. Is it safe to assume that the invitation extended to him by the special investigator has to do with the Union Bank, Titan Trust Bank?
Remember, he said the report says that Emefiele, part of the sleaze, went into funding ownership through process of some banks. Do you understand my point? So we don't know. Let Tunde Lemo come
and speak for himself.
Let's know. Most of these people front for themselves. They use SPV, special purpose vehicle, to drive all sorts of investment in the system. I call them corporate buccaneers. I'll be telling you. They are worse than the regular politicians you are seeing. They are scavengers. Nigeria is in carcass. They want Nigeria to continue to be in carcass economically, socially. If electricity works today, many people will turn from trillionaire to regular millionaires. Because electricity is not working, we make Mikano, Lordmat, and every other generator company in Nigeria that have come to, whose promoters are also in the system. They will fold up. When you have constant electricity, will you buy a generator?
Okay, let's wrap up now, Brimo.
Somebody is dragging you for Nigeria Air now. Sabotaging it. That we don't want Nigeria Air. Even when the stake, we are saying Ethiopia. I don't want to look at every other political interest around it. Let us have a national carrier. It's not a crime that public operation works in Nigeria. Public operation works in other countries. Don't tell me that there's no business of government doing business. There is a lot. Business starts from government. The regulatory, the CAC, you want to register a business, you want to register a company, start from government. Even when you declare your profit, government still come and check your books to know the amount of tax. They still raise assessment on you. Public operations are comatose in Nigerians because of corporate buccaneers who does not have the interest. They cannot provide alternative, but they want to lash. Imagine we were all crying that the refinery should be sold off.
Was that a bad idea?
There's what is called privatization. There is commercialization.
What's the difference?
The difference is commercialization is making government corporation to have commercial status, make them compete favorably with every other person.
Like we have done with the unbundling of NNPC?
Exactly. And you can see it. Now NNPC Nigeria Limited is now wanting to own or promote or activate those refineries to also sell fuel. The same NNPC Nigeria Limited is now investing, want to own shares in Dangote, at least some stake, to be able to have an idea too. But if a presidential candidate in this country was going around the whole media, this is somebody that sold ASCO, Aluminium Metal Company of Nigeria, the biggest aluminum metal company in Africa, that was built with $3.2 billion. He sold it to his own self, his own cronies, a company that is promoting for for a patry, less than $300 million. And the person was coming out in this country to say, if they vote him in, he will privatize NNPC. That he will say it to his friends. Are they not Nigerians? What audacity to debase the economy and for the collective patrimony of Nigeria into private hands.
I want us to wrap up now, Brimo. At this point, with regards to the CBN investigation, will it be going too far if former President Muhammadu Buhari is questioned?
In the Nigerian context, yes, because except want to set a president, a political president. Remember the Dasuki issue? Was Goodluck Jonathan ever called for questioning? Remember the $16 billion power issue? Obasanjo. When the speculation was rife, he said, he's directed into a page. Go and read my book, my watch. It's beyond, you understand?
So again, it goes down to the fact that we have more powerful men than institutions.
No, politics is politics.
We are not the only country politicking. The other countries also politicking.
Even in America, I'm telling you.
But Trump is,
when the chips are down,
Trump is facing the fire now, legally speaking.
And
that's a country whose model we took for our own democracy.
No, we are peculiar people. That's why we always get it wrong in all aspects.
But when it's convenient for us, we say we are practicing.
That's why I say we get it. When it's convenient for us. Does America have kings and chiefs that are entitled to a line charge in the budget? That you have to service your kings and chiefs across the 500 tribes and 200 or some ethnic group. You service them from the pocket of government. It doesn't work that way. We are peculiar democracy, a multicultural democracy. So the issue is not about President Muhammadu Buhari. Buhari said it. He said, I know that when I leave power, I'll be safe. But if anybody among you, my ministers, is found wanting, you go use your head carrier.
You have to say that in pidgin. But let's
yes, I have to say it in pidgin.
Just the final question.
Because everybody that is found wanting, for whatever reason, if you are called to Goma, it's a still worship arrangement. You've served the country, and there is need for information to be gotten from you at every point in time. You were called to serve. The president trusted you and gave you an office and evaluated you and felt, okay, you have to deliver on our mandate, on our manifesto. If for whatever reason, I even like the trajectory. Let the next government probe the Tinubu administration when he leaves.
Good. But before that probe happens, if ever it will, we're talking Emefiele now and those who worked with him at the CBN while he was at the helms. Yeah. Today we have Dr. Olayemi Kadoso as the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Yes. What lessons should he and his deputies also be learning?
I don't even need to tell him. He's a core professional. He's been a banker. And he was also in Tinubu's government as a governor of Lagos State. He has worked with multilateral institutions, had enough experience. The problem we have, just like Emefiele, he was the group managing director of Zenith Bank. The problem has always been, and I've told you, it's not about professionalism. It's about credibility. I don't want to be hearing, we are talking about competence. No matter how good, how professionally qualified and competent you may be, when your essence, when credibility and integrity essence is eroding from your virtue or your personality, then every other thing you have built or you must have built around your competence and professionalism become null and void. Look at how the cookies crumble now. With all his experience, his education and everything, why did Tinubu Buhari retain him? To help him clear the recession. That, okay, since you'll be here, you have told me this is what led to this is what led to this. Remember, they met like 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Say, okay, be in the aim of affair. Let's drive to recover the economy. They put it on the trajectory of growth. On the long run, you were driving the economy, you recover the economy to your pockets and the pockets of your cronies.
Haruna Brahma, I'm afraid that's the much we can talk about. But again, this is a developing story, and it seems like one that will get more interesting as every day passes by. Right? Yeah. Thank you for coming on the program today.
It's always my pleasure.
We appreciate it. I thank everyone for watching. That's our package on Global Morning. I'm